Facebook made its debut, Martha Stewart went to jail, Evanescence was topping the charts, and a lot of other things were happening. While all this was happening, the term lyrics was gaining a lot of popularity. It was going up in search results. And that's when three innovative graduates from the Waterloo University captured on the hype and came up with what we're going to learn about today. So moderating is a man who needs no introduction in his own words. Ted Cohen, managing partner at TAG Strategic. Have a round of applause for Cohen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. When I proposed this to Neil and David, the idea was 21 years ago in the lobby here at the Westin Harbor Castle, I had given a talk, I think in the morning, and I came off stage, and there's this young gentleman standing there. He says, "Hi, my name's Daryl Ballantyne. Can we go have coffee? I want to talk to you. I'd like to come to LA and intern for you at EMI, where I was working at the time." And we went to a restaurant really close. I tried to find it yesterday, but it's within a block of here.
I'm not sure it still exists.
It may have.
I don't think any restaurant that was here 21 years ago is still
I was
around.
if the building still existed. Anyway, we went and we talked. I didn't know how hard it was to have an intern come from Toronto, but we worked it out. Daryl came down and worked with us for about 6 months.
It might have felt that way, but it was 4.
I get corrected every time on that. It felt like a year. But he was great, and he was going to University of Waterloo. Is that correct?
Yep.
And he graduated, and he called me, and he said, "I want to come back and work at EMI." I said, "I want to get out of here." I said, what's plan B? He said, "Well, we've talked about doing this legal lyric thing with me and my 2 roommates in college." And I said, "Let me know what I can do to help." It's now 21 years later. This is the 20th anniversary of LyricFind. And what I was trying to get across about proposing this session was that this was me meeting somebody in the lobby, and it was trying to say to anyone who's here, trying to make a connection, trying to find a manager, trying to find a business partner. If you are persistent and you're smart and you know what you're doing, it happens and you can do it. And so the LyricFind's, I believe, in my humble opinion, LyricFind's existence is a testament to what has been Canadian Music Week for the past almost 40 years. Is it 34?
42 years of Canadian Music Week.
42 years. You know, I've been coming here. This is my 30th year coming here. And, you know, every year Neil and I spar about who's buying for dinner. But other than that, it's a great event. But now I have David to ask to buy dinner. Right, David? Lunch. I'm working my way up to dinner. So we want to talk about LyricFind and how it came about. And I've known Daryl and Mo and Carol Ann here for a long time. Carol Ann is Daryl's mother. And, you know, I said, "You want to do a panel?" He goes, "Can I bring my mom?" That's not what he said.
That's exactly how it went down.
I'm kidding. And the joke that I had that I said to Daryl was asking me at lunch yesterday, "What are you going to ask us?" And I said, "Well, when I met you, you know, in 2003, correct? Good.
Yeah.
I'm worth getting corrected. You were young, and I saw a lot of potential in you. You saw him a lot younger. When did you see the potential?"
Well, I think,
You have to make love to your microphone.
okay, is that on?
That's
Yeah,
on.
Okay. I mean, I think it started in first year university where Daryl and Mo and Chris met each other and started working on this idea. On, you know, they pursued, you know, working a couple of work terms in our basement and in Mo's house, and a couple of work terms working for, or one work term working for you. So
Right.
there was a lot of things going on that said, these guys have something, they've got a good idea, they're willing to take the time and the effort to do this, which is a very important thing when you're an entrepreneur, is to put the effort into it, whether you're a musician or whether you're an entrepreneur in any business, you've got to put that time into it. And it's not necessarily fun time. I remember one time, Daryl and I and Mo, they had just moved into their first, we'll call it, real office. And here we were, the three of us, putting together IKEA furniture so they would have some desks to work on. So
Right.
you
But
gotta
you're
be
a
willing to
finance,
do
I mean, Carol Ann was LyricFind's first and maybe only investor?
Yes.
Only investor for the first 10 years, and then
Right.
then Larry came on board.
Right.
With,
But
yeah.
But you were a finance, besides being mom, you were a finance person. So, I mean, you
Yes.
looked at numbers, you looked at what potential market was and did it make sense to you at the time?
It did make sense, but of course they had to get the volume. It didn't make sense to do it with one publisher. They needed to have all the publishers, or all the big ones anyways. So it was going to take a lot of work to get those. You know how quickly music publishers move.
Right.
So it was going to take a lot of work to do that. But they had started putting in that work long before LyricFind was officially a company.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, publishers are like glaciers, and Napster provided some global warming, and the glaciers started melting. Mo, I should again set the tone here. I'm sorry. I expect everybody here to know. Mo and Daryl and Chris were all roommate. Were you in the same dorm room or the same dorm?
We started off in our first year of university in the same dorm, like the same floor,
Right.
but we were in separate rooms, obviously. And then in second year, when they kick you out of the dormitory, basically, we rented a house together, and we've been roommates for like the next 3-4 years.
So you've known each other, what, about 25 years now?
Since September 1999.
Yeah.
So how's that go?
I actually figured out years ago that I had long since passed the point where I had spent more time with Mo than anyone else in my life, including you, because for 25 years now, I've basically been stuck with him every day.
It's true.
Elaborate on stuck.
It's been a
No,
joy.
what's really been fun about working with these guys, and this is not meant to be an infomercial. This is really about, I just keep telling people, I came to this thing, I met this kid in the lobby, we ended up, then he introduced me to Mo, and then I met Chris, and then I met Mom, and just watching this is like, I smile every day. I mean, I guess I'm the only one wearing the T-shirt today. Yay, and Robert. Anybody else? No, okay, you're all fired. It's just been, for me, I tell people the story of like, you guys had an idea and you weren't trying to be the next one doing it. You were the first one doing it. And yet, you guys, I remember one time in my 21 years where I watched the two of you go at each other. And it was at a restaurant. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I can't narrow it down to only one.
I only witnessed it one time, and we're at dinner, and it was talking about hiring people remotely to do translations versus hiring people in Toronto. And Mo, it was surprising because he's an engineer, he's a tech guy. He was talking about the authenticity of the translations, not which would be technically more easy to do. He was fighting for no, I want people that speak the language every day that are here in Toronto that would look at the lyric and go, yes, that's the right translation, not something that was done by some machine algorithm pulling it out. And it was fun to watch and you went, we'll figure it out. And then the main course came and we stopped arguing. But you stopped arguing. I ate. How has it been, even though you were in the dorm together, you've been together longer than you were together at home?
Yeah, I mean, I think
let's talk about growing pains.
20 years of running a business together, and despite titles being CEO and CTO, everybody who knows us know that we basically run it as a partnership, and we don't agree on everything, and we occasionally have big arguments about the direction and that, and especially when you're starting up and your entire cash flow is a $50,000 investment from your mother. that she made us personally guarantee.
With organs?
Yeah, something like that. I think
Kidneys.
elder care, maybe something like that. I don't know. But it's a very intense and emotional process, and we both have very strong feelings about everything that we've built and what we've worked on, and we've spent our professional lives building. So we do get into arguments, but at the same time, we have a relationship where we can argue about anything and be very adamant about it, but then drop everything and go hang out and have a drink or go to a party or things like that. And that isn't always the case, I think. With
And
a lot of
Mo, you
partners.
agree with 100% of what he just said, correct?
Well, yeah, I was going to say it really helps that we were friends first, right?
Yeah.
I think like we were friends and roommates, and basically we're already spending all our time together. So we were already friends. We already had respect for each other. So when we started a business, it's easier, I think.
Yeah?
And
Can
then
you get him more into comic books? Because I bring up the
I've
conversation.
tried.
Nothing happens.
Yeah. But when you're on the same page like that, it's easier. And if you have a respect for each other, where you both acknowledge the goal is to make LyricFind the best it can be, not to win personally, then everything sort of gets figured out.
And in that growth, I mean, we've had these conversations privately, but I'll say it publicly. You've always prided yourself on your ethics and being the good guys, the nice guys, the right guys. And there's been a couple times you're going, we got screwed by the people who aren't the good guys, the nice guys, and the whatever. And I'm going, I will still want you to be the good guys and the nice guys, but every once in a while, just one left jab might be good.
I mean, I like to say that we're stereotypically Canadian, right? We consistently hear in the industry that people like working with us. They like to talk with us. They think that we are fair in the things that we're doing, in the deals that we make. We're not trying to have deals that are win-lose. We want everything to be win-win. We treat all the publishers equally. We're adamant about that. We're not looking to extract every single penny out of our clients. We want long-standing relationships that work for everybody. And even like to the point too, like the interesting thing talking about like the dynamic between Mo and I and fairness and all of that. Look, everything that we've always done for each other has always been equal. Like we both have the exact same number of shares. We both have the exact same salary. We both have the exact same bonuses and everything that we do, and we just decide on it together, and we treat each other equally for that, which I think adds to the dynamic of we are in this together, we are doing this the same. It's not one person above the other. It's a shared vision and goal and process.
And I'll just add that like when it comes to like the whole good guy thing versus the bad guy thing, I think good guy wins in the long run, as long as you fight when someone does something shitty to you. Like you have to be ready to fight, but acting like a good guy, I think, does win in the long run.
I totally agree. I mean, that's what we've always gotten. I mean, it feels like Michelle Obama for, take the high road. I mean, we've always, as a company, taken the high road and don't play dirty. It's just frustrating sometimes when people do play dirty and there's no reason that they had to. And I'm not getting off on that track. I do want to say one thing to whoever's running the board, no one ever started the clock. So if you know what time we're at, let us know how much time we have left, because otherwise we'll be here all day. What?
It's 1:18 apparently.
Okay, so they're going to set the clock to where it should be, and it's going to run now. Because it's like timeless up here. I didn't want to find out that all of a sudden we were down to 1 minute. In growing, I mean, I showed something at the town hall day, just before at the Christmas party, about that basically LyricFind is a band and you guys are the lead singer and the lead guitar. How has it been as the band's gotten bigger to have that sort of company, ethos?
It's a challenge. As we've grown and
I
gotten
mean, do
bigger.
people get when they go to work that it's like, wait, this isn't like other companies?
Yeah, I mean, I think some do, some don't, and some figure it out. Like Colleen, who's our CFO, spent the first couple weeks showing up in a suit, and then figured it out, and and other people come in like, we're kind of like a family business, right? Like at some point or another, all three of my siblings have worked at the company. Both of your siblings have worked at the company, doing different things, and obviously the original part of the family business aspect of it. But as we've gotten bigger, because we're now, if we include our subcontracted full-time people around the world, we're somewhere around 150 or 160 people. It's hard to maintain that same relationship. And I think about like pre-COVID, we knew every single person in the company. We knew them well. We knew their families. We knew
When they were having babies, when they were
yeah,
getting married.
yeah, there's-
I get those notifications of there's a new baby,
there
someone's
was
getting
two
engaged.
baby notifications like yesterday,
Yes.
right? So, it was a very friendly family atmosphere. It gets a little harder to do that as it's more people working remotely. We have when we acquired Rotor at the end of last year, that brought on a team in Belfast, and integrating that in it adds all sorts of different challenges. So, we try to do everything we can to maintain the culture and maintain the personality of the company, but it absolutely gets harder as it gets bigger, and it's a never-ending challenge. I think that we're not as good at it now as we were 5 years ago because of the different dynamics and locations and remote work and things like that, but we're trying.
Mo?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to add to that. I mean, I'll say that.
You could just stop there. That's
No,
where
no.
that's.
I'll say that, like, the bigger you get, you can't just depend on, like, two people to set the example, right? So a lot of the people who've been with us for a while sort of take the lead on that aspect of it, right? Our team leads, our department heads, they're all very engaging, and they really push the culture, and they set an example. So it's not just us.
What is the wrestling belt for? I forget.
That's
Pool
for the pool
championship.
tournament. Yeah.
That's the pool tournament. I mean, there's an annual pool tournament that is, right up there with, did we hit our numbers this year?
Yeah, the belt gets awarded at the holiday party, and as we've grown, we had to have like a pro and a beginner level. Once you win the beginner tournament, you can no longer participate in it. You have to move up to the pro level. It's a whole.
It's sort of like Welcome to
complex.
Wrexham. You have
Yeah.
to be, you have to be
Yeah,
you're
you
promoted.
get promoted. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. What's been some of the other challenges in terms of, I know, and Robert's here, one of the big things has been translations and to expand the reach of the company.
So I'll actually say on the product side, I've been really happy with the direction. I think most of the struggles, and we can start talking about the music industry a little, is in the industry itself and the way it's sort of built and the way it works. It's a slow-moving business, complexity of music rights and music licenses, and when you expand globally, that gets complicated. I wouldn't say so much it's translations in themselves. We sort of built out a great system for creating translations. I think we just crossed the 1 million translation mark. So we're doing pretty good on that side, and we just also crossed the 1 million mark on synchronization at the word-by-word level. So we've had some product growth in the past year that I think we're really happy with, and yeah, but it's the music industry, so
I think
there's
the
always-
problem we have is getting this across to them.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's always new challenges. Every time we think that we've got it figured out and we can kind of be on a bit of cruise control, something comes up that we have to then figure out something new. And having the right team that has helped us through a lot of that stuff, whether it's the internal staff or the external people like lawyers and advisors and accountants and everything else that are so prevalent in this industry as like there's like having the right people makes those challenges.
Well, that's really that's a good point. Like it's more than just what we do. It's we have a team, right? So like you, Ted, for example, like half the reason we exist, more than half the reason we exist, is because of Ted. And in the early days, he was fighting for us and he was getting us deals. Like otherwise, we would have been, I don't know that we would have gone off the ground, right?
Yeah.
And so having people around you that help is huge.
I mean, there's at least a dozen people, probably more, in the industry that we can point to and say, if you hadn't done this thing at whatever point in time in our
Jim
past,
Jim
Rondinelli is absolutely one of them.
There's a guy named Jim Rondinelli who did a wonder. He called me up and he said, I have to tell the story.
Yeah.
I won't say what. He said a competitor was offering him, he was working at a major publisher, $250,000 to not license LyricFind. And he called me and I knew where I was standing in the hotel, in the Peabody Hotel in Orlando, Florida, at the CTIA, the mobile phone conference, looking out the window, and the phone rings. He goes, hey, Ted, it's Jim. You need to tell me to say no to this. And I said, what? He said, so-and-so has offered us $250,000 to not license LyricFind, so he knows that if we don't license them, you guys will go away. He said, tell me not to take the money. I said, don't take the money. He said, okay, I'll go to my boss and tell him I'm turning down $250,000 because it's wrong to take it. And he went in and told the guy no, and the guy didn't say, are you effing kidding me? Take the money. They licensed us, and that was a turning point. But it wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna whatever. It was like, it was the right thing to do.
And you know, Jim's obviously one of the key stories like that, and there are so many others where there's just points along the way
Things
where
that Ken's done, that
we
Freundlich has done. He's been very helpful, and Jeff.
Yeah, where like if people hadn't either stood up for us or done the right thing or helped us with one thing or another at a time of need, where we wouldn't be here. And you know, I'd love to sit here and say it's because we're so good at running this or because of things that we did, but it's not. It's because of the kindness of others that has gotten us to the point of being able to be around for 20 years. Like there are 15, 20 points along those 20 years where we could have died if somebody hadn't stepped in to do the right thing or help us.
In the 4 months that we worked together, I thought it was longer, there were companies that came and went in 4 months, let alone 20 years. I mean, this is an achievement. And again, this is not an infomercial. This is everybody involved and people in the room here involved. Robert and Sixmar, and now Lori is there. Is Lori here? There's Lori back there. I mean, this is a great bunch of people. And I joke that Lori Jacobson has come on board doing PR. And I said, you know, to sum it up, I said, well, we finally got it right. I mean, not that we have had bad PR people.
Lori did our first press release in like 2005 when she was at HFA.
You know, so it's really, it is, you know, whether, and people that have been fans, like when Rachel was at HFA, people that just benefit of the doubt of, these seem like good people, the business model seems good, but it really is an achievement to do what you guys have done. And as I said, you know, at Christmas, I said, I'm just proud to be a background singer in the band. So, I mean, I don't want to bring up negatives, but I mean, like, Song Freaks was fun for a moment.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. Well, explain what Song Freaks was and what the I will only bring that one up. But there have been a couple things of, wouldn't it be cool if, and it turned out, maybe it isn't cool.
Song Freaks was, in our early days, we had made an iPhone app because there was no iPhone app for lyrics, and we thought we would license somebody, but then nobody was doing it, so we said, okay, we'll do it ourselves. And then it became really popular. Then we started licensing our own competitors because our core has always been being the back end and licensing everybody. And then their apps got better than ours, and so we sunset it. With Song Freaks, we decided, okay, we're going to kind of get back into this a little bit and do it in a more gamified way and things like that. And we had a partnership lined up with AOL to funnel traffic to it and really grow it. And then AOL decided to shut all that their stuff down, unrelated to
Right.
to our thing. So that went away, and all of a sudden we didn't have a fire hose of traffic that we were going to point at it. So because we were a very small company at the time and didn't have any big marketing budget or even a marketing team at that point, it just didn't make sense for us to spend a bunch of money that we didn't have to be able to grow the audience for this. So we had to shut it down and shift away from doing anything B2C on that front because it was just not cost effective. So it was a nice experiment while we did it, and we've experimented with other things over the years. Lyric merch is another one where we wanted to legitimize all the unlicensed Lyric merchandise that was out there. We had a really hard time with approvals for merchandise and also rights enforcement. We had a lot of success in the early years working with the NMPA and publishers to license websites that were using lyrics that weren't paying royalties, because it was very easy to go to a centralized source and say, hey, you're using copyrighted content, you need to get a license. Go to LyricFind, they can give you a license, and we'll forgive your past transgressions. With merch, it's people selling on Amazon, people selling on Etsy, people selling on Redbubble. It's so much whack-a-mole to get that stuff taken down that there just wasn't enough of an incentive for the publishers to spend a huge amount of time and effort and money chasing that down. So we couldn't compete with piracy and infringement in that scenario.
But the lyric, I mean, when you started working on lyric videos a couple of years ago, that was cool. And then Zach, who I think, oh yeah, there he is, started working on the kids stuff.
Yeah.
That's been fun to watch. Again, I've been totally uninvolved in any part of that, and watching it as a civilian, it's turned out really cool. And then Rotor comes along.
Yeah. So yeah, certainly there was things that didn't work out, and there have been things that have. The video side is working really well, and obviously acquiring Rotor last year has opened up all sorts of new opportunities to do Spotify Canvas videos, Apple Motion. We actually just launched yesterday the Apple Motion Art Creator on the Rotor platform.
Say that again? You said quickly.
We yesterday launched the Apple Motion Art creation tool on Rotor videos to make it super quick and easy to make Apple Artist Motion and Album Motion, which everybody who I talk to at labels and distributors says is the biggest pain in the ass to create. So you can do like 2 clicks and it's done. So that's opened up a whole lot of new possibilities for us, and obviously the lyric video side of it is really interesting and closer to our core, but makes a video asset that is incredibly useful, incredibly powerful, and able to drive a lot of engagement and revenue for artists and labels, and something that's easy for us to do because we had all the data. We have an incredible team of people that are already transcribing and synchronizing the lyrics and making sure that everything is perfect so that it can be used in those videos and take away that massive pain point for people of transcribing and syncing those lyrics to create a video. So that part's been really, really exciting for us. It's been a lot of fun for Mo and I to have a different type of product to work on, and all sorts of different types of deals that we can do. The kids side, we have it's called LF Kids. It's all sorts of animations and lyric videos and translation videos of lots of different popular songs. Five Little Monkeys, The Bear Went Over the Mountain, maybe all the different ones. I have a 3-year-old, so she's my beta tester. And if I know if she says again with it, it's a good one. Right. So that started off as we just wanted data about the impact of lyric videos and things and monetization and usage patterns. So Zach said, hey, like, let's make our own videos. We'll just do kids' videos. I'll record them, I'll do it, and then we can get all the data out of it. Never expected it to be popular or a revenue generating tool. We just wanted data out of it, but he's grown it into a big and popular channel now on YouTube.
Well, he's a kid at heart.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been fun. Some of it's been serendipitous, where it just kind of happens, and other things are more intentional. But we've, again, as Mo said earlier, like we've had a great team that has made all of it possible, and had a lot of the ideas and brought a lot of them to life.
Mo, has it been hard to scale in terms of the amount of data and the amount of material in terms of building the data so that it is extensible and you can add features to it and whatever?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Scaling is a problem I'm sure most businesses face. You know, especially one that's like ours, where we started in 2004. A lot of the stuff we built was with 2004 technology.
Right.
You didn't really have cloud computing at that point, right? It was a lot of like managed servers. And then as you grow, you need to update with the times, I guess. And that takes a lot of resources. So some of our infrastructure is still based on stuff that's maybe 10, 15 years old.
Right.
And that's, you know, I always think to like the banking world. I always hear people talking about how some core banking systems are still built on COBOL, which is like, I don't know, 1970s.
Well, Ticketmaster is
language,
built
right?
on DOS.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it now that I'm not that old, but like I get it now because it is a lot of work to keep maintaining and updating systems, especially key systems where you need to make sure they're perfect. And of course, you know, you don't want to break something that's not broken. So, you know, from a technical side, that's what a lot of our time is. It's about growing the systems, making the systems expandable. And it is a lot of work. I mean, you know.
I remember, without mentioning names, but it's one of my fun stories, is when we went to London to meet with a major publisher, and the person having the meeting maintained that, well, you've spent all the money you need to spend building systems, so now we're going to take more from you. And the argument, I'm not going to get into who it was, but it was great. They said, we want to go from a 50-50 split of an agreed adjusted gross to 90-10, where they would take 90%, we would get to keep 10%, because all the systems had been built and all the engineering had been, that was the argument.
Yeah.
And
I
I
don't think
said,
it's a
can I
secret.
offer a counter proposal? And the person said yes. And I said, why don't you just take 100%? If you're going to be that effing greedy, why stop at 90? Just go for the 100. And
That was like 12 years ago, and
I remember that.
and it was literally, the argument was, well, you've built everything you need to build, so you're getting too much free money now. We'll take some back.
And this is, of course, like with to this day, where publishers who own the rights don't supply us with the lyrics.
Right.
So we have to create them. We have to synchronize them. We have to translate. We have to do all of that to enable the revenue stream for them. So now, fortunately, nobody has tried that argument again.
Right.
But yeah, we've heard some crazy ones.
It's no
over the
secret
years.
that music publishers, and we don't deal with labels, but I'm sure it's the same for labels, they want as much as they can get.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're going to try that, but I also think that a lot of them now realize that we do provide a core essential service, right?
Well, that has been the difference. When I
Yeah.
first got involved, it was like I was at EMI Records. If you licensed from us, you actually got recordings. If you license from the publishers, you get the right to go find the lyrics wherever they may be on the back of a napkin.
Well, we found it the hard way. Like when we did our very first licensing deal was with EMI Publishing,
Right.
Because you told them that they should, and we thought, okay, great, we're going to get all of these lyrics. We're going to get all of this data to like build the database, and they gave us for a company that owned a couple million copyrights, 8,121 lyrics. Which for over a decade was the biggest amount of lyrics that we got from anyone, but nowhere near what we thought. And they didn't give us any
Phone numbers.
any recording information.
No phone numbers. Call
information.
this guy. He's got it.
They gave us song name and songwriter information, and we had thought, oh, they're going to tell us these are the lyrics for this song. No, these are the lyrics that were written by this writer for a song called this. We have no idea who recorded it, right? And we
So
quickly learned
matching was a
about
challenge,
publishing
yeah.
data and recording data, and never the two shall meet. So it was a learning curve for us, obviously, with a lot of that, and
it shifts. I mean, the other thing that because I had to learn a lot about publishing at that point, that masters usually, I mean, you sign with Warner Records, you're with Warner Records for a long time till you leave the label, and then it's announced that your next album is with Sony Music. But publishing on a weekly basis, you can find out that somebody left one publisher, went to another publisher, and the publisher you were paying forgot to tell you, oh, they're not with us anymore.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's just the splits, right? A song
Yeah,
can have
it's-
10 writers, and you need to figure out every single one of those writers and who to pay for those writers and what percentage of do they own of the song. And
sub-publishers internationally.
I mean, that's what we do for people who might not know fully what we do. That's a big part of what we do is we administer these rights. So we collect that information, we figure out who owns what, who needs to be paid. And just getting back to my point, like, I think the music publishers have figured out that this is an essential service, and they make a lot of money off lyrics now because of the fact that lyrics are everywhere. And so I think, unlike 12 years ago, I think they're starting to realize that we do provide that essential service and that core service. Right. It doesn't mean they don't try to make as much money as they can off us, but it's not as ruthless, maybe.
Luckily, some of the definitions, I mean, from what I see as an end user, have broken down in terms of what was defined as karaoke versus what is synchronized lyrics on SoundHound when I'm listening to it on my phone. Not doing karaoke, but I'm looking at the lyrics display.
Well, my favorite is the concept of translations. When we started asking publishers to have the right to use translations, that is to show a lyric and then show it in another language for those who might not speak the original language. It got complicated. Daryl knows this better than I do because he's the one who writes these contracts up with the publishers. But translation already has a meaning, and now we're trying to redefine it for our purposes. And synchronization already has a meaning in the music world, right? And we're trying to redefine it for our purposes, and we sort of have to deal with that all the time as well.
People have translation contracts where it's like, okay, you're creating a translation so that we can record this song in a different language, and then it's a derivative work, and you're make sure that there's rhyming and cadence and things like that fit with the song, and then it actually takes real artistic talent to create those translations. For us, we're just translating it for meaning, and so that people can understand the lyrics, not for them to perform it with our translation, because you can take something that is 5 words in English and it turns into 12 words in Spanish or something else, right? It's not going to fit in the same time of the line. But we've had to use creative wording sometimes in contracts where everybody understands what we're doing, and they want to license us to do it, but we can't call it a translation in the contract because internally they have their rules around translations, and this is what has to happen, and that. So it'll be a representation of the lyrics in an alternate language for understanding. Language conversion, yeah, for understanding. So, you find ways around it, and you find ways that everybody in the value chain is happy with how it works and understands exactly what's going on, and people want to make it work. So that helps a lot.
Cool. Any questions from anybody? No questions. Oh, there's one over there. Yes, sir. As loud as you can.
If you're an indie artist,
You're getting a mic, and there it is. Thank you.
okay, so if you're an indie artist and you do a deal or you release your music through a distro, and let's say on the song, some people are unpublished and others are published. Where are you in all of this? Is your deal with the distro people, or I'd like to understand that.
Really all of the above. So we work with anybody who can provide the proper publishing rights to us. So we work with publishers directly. We work through societies like HFA or CSDEM or APRAMCO, so like people all over the world. SOCAN, yeah. We work with distributors. So, for example, we get publishing rights from DistroKid and from other distributors where somebody that is distributing through there opts into their publishing license if they don't have their own separate publishing deal, for example. So then that can flow through us. We also get rights granted to us directly. Artists can sign up on our platform and grant those rights and provide lyrics if they don't have other representation. So we kind of piece it together from all the different sources to try to maximize the coverage that we can provide.
Okay, so if you have a deal with DistroKid, for example, then there's no reason for the artist to reach out to you directly because there's some kind of deal done already.
As long as you've given rights to DistroKid, let's just pretend you're the artist that we're talking about. You have to give DistroKid the right to then give us the content. And if you do, then you don't have to talk to us directly. DistroKid would do it.
And then for lyric videos that you guys create, that's just something that
That's a consumer-facing platform, so you can go to rotorvideos.com or just lyricfind.com and go through the video process and sign up there. And it's a self-serve platform where you can create that content yourself. If you're a CD Baby member, the video creation tool for Spotify Canvas is embedded into CD Baby, so you can make it right there on the platform, and that's going to happen with more distro platforms going forward as well. But yeah, the easiest way is just signing up directly to be able to use the editor and create the content.
So, Carol, you're going to get the final word. Advice to people that are trying to start a company that want to get investors and what?
I think we've already talked about that because I think you talked about the networking part and the meeting people, going to conferences and meeting people. You never know who you're going to meet standing out in the hallway that can give you your next leg up on whatever business that you're doing. So and don't be afraid to ask people for help. I mean, that's one of the things that Daryl and Mo did. They came and asked me, we need some money. Can you help us with some money? So, and all the other things that.
And he was already getting an allowance.
Yeah. So, don't be afraid to look for wherever it is that you can get help and somebody will help you to pursue your dreams. And that applies in every market, every business, every area that you could be in, not just in the music industry.
And I have to say, I've been doing this a long time. She's the nicest CFO I've ever met.
I'm not the CFO
and Colleen.
anymore.
And apparently,
And Colleen.
yeah.
And Colleen.
Yeah.
Please.
According to the powers that be at CMW, this is the first mother-son panel in 42 years, so we get to check that box for them.
Yes.
But I'm going to put you on the spot with a final question for me, and be honest. When you wrote that check, what percentage of that was actual belief in what we were doing versus just being a great mom?
Well, that's a good question, Daryl, but I don't know that I can answer it because it all goes together, That's right. You're right, Victor. Yeah. So I can't say.
Boo. Just dodge the question.
If you couldn't hear Zach, he said, never mind. Okay, we are over time. I want to just say, again, it's been 21 years for me. It's been 25 for you two. It's been...
No, we don't need to.
Okay. It's an honor to work with you guys. It's been an honor, a pleasure, and every once in a while a challenge, but that's what it's all about. Thanks everybody for coming. Enjoy the rest of CMW. Thank you guys for being willing to do this.